What's up? What's up, YouTube? Continuing connecting the dots just to cover things, make sure it's a little bit more clear of what I'm getting out of it. Yes, most of it is facts and things that have already been pointed out. Now, of course, some of the stuff you're just gonna, you know, have to match it up because, walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, must be a duck. But they're saying that this Epstein stuff goes even for John Benet Ramsey. So, Uh, you have Eyes Wide Shut, the movie that shows exactly what we're seeing come out about how rich families get sucked into this cult like society and they start doing all this stuff. And if you see at the end, they go there with their kid, but they leave without their child, which means they just sold their child to these people. I believe that's what happened with John Bonet. I believe that's what happened with Britney Spears. Uh, I don't know if it happened with Christina Aguilera or not. Maybe at first, I don't know. Uh, Maybe that's why they didn't like Eminem. But I don't know. Eminem says that he's not a part of that, and he acts like he's against it. But he's also with the LBGQ, and I think that's because of his daughter. Maybe she's I don't know. But you can't be a part of the alphabet community and be against the Epstein stuff. They are all together. And yes, there are Republicans a part of this. Israel is a part of this. I believe the Ukraine incident was a part of this. Uh, Rothschild and J.P. Morgan have been a part of this. They've been at this since in the early 1900s. Their bloodline, and I believe they've been passing it down for the new ones to do. But Jacob Rothschild, he's been around for a while. And I think he's still around, actually. But anyway, and the one Rothschild that passed away right there by L.A. and everybody, the strange stuff around him. Even though people said that that one was like a black sheep of them, but also remember that not all of them have the same last name. There's other families that are related to that bloodline that don't have the Rothschild last name. I know I keep bringing them up the most because they're one of the main ones. They're behind Chase and Wells Fargo. J.P. Morgan is behind Bank of America. Yeah, the biggest banks. Imagine that. Didn't we just have a government bank bailout not long ago? Right. All scripted. What I mean is it was all fraud. Just like 9/11 and the Boston bombing. That was all fraud. Oh, come on. The kid that they shot in the boat still had his backpack, and he had no gun. Not only that, they made sure that he didn't get a chance to say nothing. Just like the one that they took out at the construction site. And all this stuff that was going on when they were riding down the road saying that they were throwing pipe bombs and all this stuff. No, they weren't. That was the police shooting at them. It already showed on camera that there were people in tactical gear, tan khaki pants, black jacket, black backpack, and boots. And they came with two of those men came with two black backpacks, and both of the backpacks were not on any of the men when they left. So there you go. And it matched the backpacks that were on camera sitting there. So there you go. You you all got it in your heads that these people wouldn't go to uh, lengths of taking out the population. Yes, they would, especially if they have or believe that they have robots and all this that can take over everything. They don't like us anyway. They tried the LBGQ. We didn't accept it. All hell has broken loose ever since. Well, you said that they're, yes, they've been doing all this secretly, and then their attempt at getting us to accept it slowly was the LBGQ stuff that people are accepting. That's why they started mutilating kids and going after 2-year-olds and this and that and the other. You realize every doctor that's ever taken those organs or this or that, does anybody question? I mean, like, really get into where they go? Because the people that have found out they go places you wouldn't believe. Yeah, like when you become an organ donor or donate your body to science, or they had a thing going around when my kids were being, brought into this world about donating the placenta and all that. Yeah, they use all that for these things. And you all are, oh, it's science, oh, it's this, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah. No, this is why you can buy that stuff on the internet. Yes, you can buy all those things. I don't know. And that's also why they're pushing for so many abortions. What's that doing? Killing God's children. Okay. What is that also doing? That's virgin blood that they can use, especially if it's late in the pregnancy. This is also why they've been letting people get away with, literally taking people's lives. I mean, come on now. They flooded your country with murderers, rapists, and all this, and then had a back and forth fight over it. Why they still got away with murdering, raping, and killing. Right. It still happens, even though they're like, well, this isn't right. This should. And they act like they're doing something that they're not. How many millions of them do we still have in this country? Right. They're not gone. They might be hiding. They might be, kind of making it calm down to make us think that there's something, being done. It's not being done. And we also didn't pay attention to that all these elites and billionaires are, have all these puppets that they pay millions and billions of dollars to put on these shows to make people believe, that either something's being done or that there's no way we can figure out this or that. I mean, we learned that from the JFK. Come on now. The teen kids, the one that was found in the gym, the one that went, the girl that went miss, or ended up dead in a freezer in the hotel. All that surrounded big elite stuff going on. All of it. There was rumors that Selena Gomez, that's where she got that kidney she needed. I know they said that one of her friends donated it to her. But how do you know they didn't just take that friend's kidney, send it off to somebody else that eats kidneys, and did this to this girl? It's a sacrifice for their little rituals. They believe it gives them power. It's a young person, so they can do other things that people will buy. And once it goes to the coroners, nobody really sees that. They just are told and believe that this is what is supposed to be done. I went through it with my 3 kids that passed. And what was really messed up is I was talking about this stuff on the internet and Facebook and all that just before all this happened. And the funeral home, they acted really fucking weird. Okay. Well, they took my children down to Baltimore without my consent, which they weren't supposed to do that until they had my consent. The same funeral home that I was talked into letting them cover the proceeding is the same ones that took them from the hospital down to Baltimore But they told me they had no idea it was being done, even though it's their funeral home that's doing it. Yeah, they're the ones that transported them down there. They weren't supposed to do that without us, and they did. That right there was sketchy. Um, they also covered it up because this would have been a big story that got out, and it would have made the police department look like a bunch of trash. But anyway, they did a lot of things that were really fucked up. Um, but the really messed up part from the funeral home was the funeral director, um, went down to get them because I wanted, I don't know why, and you all can think I'm crazy, whatever, but I wanted to see them. I wanted them with me. I wanted them up here. And he went down on a holiday weekend, got them, brought them back, and gives me a call and says that their you know organs are not with them. What the fuck? Why would you point that out to me? Then he calls me back an hour later and says, "Oh, they have them. We're gonna go down and get them." What? And then it's making me wonder. Did you really go down and get these? Is this, you know, do you really have what they're supposed to have with them? Did somebody take them? But all that's up in the air because it's all just words. I don't, I can't say that at that point I didn't want a visual, even though I knew what I was about to see and I didn't really want to see it. And I can't prove that even if he did show me anything like that, that it was them. You know what I mean? It ain't like I know that. But I had to take his word for it. And yeah, he basically, without telling me, told me. You know what I mean? I'm in the middle of, going through trying to cope with the fact that this just happened and trying to cope with the fact that there's a lot of shit that is not looking good about this whole situation. I know it was something demonic that was attached to the situation. Everybody that was involved got a touch of that, whatever that was. Well, she was playing with demons, and that's what happens. And I tried to warn her, and she did not listen to me. I did. I tried to warn her. I have it on text message, and I'm pretty sure the calls that we had are recorded somewhere. It's all there. And I've had experts in reading stuff like that, and other people that are very good in body language, things like that. Look at videos, look at texts, look at hear voice recordings, things like that. And everything I've said is dead on. They tell me everything. So I've got medical doctors telling me that it's right. I've got 1,600 people telling me that it was intentional. I've got kids saying everything that they're doing. I mean, it checks all the boxes. Did I want it to do that? Fuck no. I want this bitch out of my fucking life. Couldn't wait until they hit 18, so all I had to do was deal with them. And once they hit teenager, I would really only have to deal with them. Because once they could drive, they can come to me. But they didn't make it that far. And I know a lot of the people are telling me even if I don't get justice, God will still serve justice, and I know He will. I did fight, and I know most. Well, you're their dad. Why didn't you tell people? I did. I fought tooth and nail. I fought so much it got me in trouble. But that's the thing. Everybody else was like afraid to say or do anything against her, and I don't know why. I don't know if it's the internet making people give her the benefit of the doubt because she's a mom and a female. Even though there were people around that seen and heard the same shit that I did. But there is a thing that people sometimes go through, and that's denial. And you can't convince them, even though they have the facts right in front of them. Sometimes they do it because maybe they feel like they're guilty of something. Sometimes they do it because they just don't want to accept the truth. There could be a number of reasons. But I assure you, I'm pretty decent at digging into stuff like this and connecting dots like that, and I'm normally 90 to 95% of the time correct. This is why I used to tell people I hate being right. Because when I'm right, it's normally I'm right about things that are really bad, and I don't like that. You guys don't understand. I call it a videographic memory because I can see in video anything that I'm thinking of. It's not pictures. It's not like a flip book. It's an actual video. It's literally an actual video in my mind. Yeah, I know. Sometimes when I got a lot of people around, I'll double check things and all that, even though I have the ability to see it in my head. But all I'm doing is second guessing myself because I get nervous when people are around me. So I want to make sure I've got it right and I don't miss any little detail. And I'm rushing, so that makes me second guess myself a little bit more. And people think, oh, well, he's forgetting or this or that. No, I'm just reassuring and double checking, triple checking, sometimes quad checking. Because sometimes you only get 1 to 2 shots. Some things you only get one shot at. You know what I mean? So I'd rather check it 1,000 times and have it right when I go to do it. Than I'm a lot quicker when I'm by myself because I don't feel eyeballs on me. I feel like I gotta do things a certain way, and that starts messing with my head more now that I've gotten older. Well, for the past few years, even I've been just sticking to myself as much as possible. So even with working, it's not the same as when I used to get off work and play with the kids and, have interaction with people. I don't really have that anymore. I just work, do the job, get